All right, what's going on, everybody? It's TUESDAYYY Media coming at you with another video. It's time to bring on the boxing. Today we're going to be talking about Terence Crawford and a potential matchup against Keith Thurman. Obviously, we've talked about Keith Thurman and Errol Spence in the past, but what a fight it would be to see Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford, especially if the Errol Spence fight doesn't come to fruition. These are some of the best welterweights in the world. Obviously, everyone wants to see the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight, but if we cannot get that, I am wondering if you guys would be willing to settle for a Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford matchup, just because these guys, they have a mutual opponent in Shawn Porter. Both beat Shawn Porter. It's another guy that has been in the the mix for the top welterweights in the world. Fell off maybe a little bit just due to inactivity and injury, and has lost to Manny Pacquiao. There's no shame in losing to a great like Manny Pacquiao, but now he's kind of trying to ease himself back into the conversation when it comes to potential title defenses and maybe getting a belt back. So there's only at this point in the welterweight division, there's only two routes you can take to get a belt, and that's through Terence Crawford and through Errol Spence. But none of them are easy options. I think it's just as hard to win all three of those belts from Errol Spence as it is to win that one belt from Terence Crawford. Whether or not you think Keith Thurman would, have a better shot of winning the belts through Terence Crawford or through Keith Thurman, it's hard to tell. But me personally, I like the matchup for Keith specifically as a fighter. I favor the matchup against Terence, mainly because we've seen Keith hurt and be vulnerable to the body. We've seen him get hurt by Josecito Lopez, but he clearly recovers. Josecito not nearly as talented as Terence Crawford. I'm just saying that the body work and the work rate from Errol Spence I see being an issue. I think he has a better chance of hurting. I think Keith Thurman has a better chance of hurting Terence Crawford than he does that of Errol Spence, just because we've seen Errol Spence kind of off balance, but we've never seen him really hurt. We've seen him kind of hurt and buzzed against Ocampo, Kell Brook, and Ugas, if you count that. I think that was just a lack of awareness and, like you said, a rookie mistake. I don't think it would happen again. Sorry, my cursor's in the way. But Terence Crawford, we've seen him hurt on multiple occasions. I think there were punches that Shawn Porter caught his attention with in that fight. Obviously he ends up stopping Shawn Porter, but still, vulnerability is vulnerability. Mean Machine, Aegis, I believe he knocked down Terence Crawford, and what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? The guy that fought Devin Haney, the guy that fought Gervonta, just fought Isaac Cruz. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, that's gonna bother me. All right, whatever. You can Google it right now, and you guys know who I'm talking about. He's a Cuban fighter. Is he Cuban? I think he should retire, but you know who I'm talking about. We've seen Terence Crawford hurt on that occasion, but ends up stopping. He ends up stopping these guys. But if Keith can hurt Terence Crawford and step on the gas, I think he could. He has a good chance of winning that fight. I still favor Terence Crawford heavily in that fight. I'll give it like 65-35 for Terence. And that's probably being generous to Keith. That's just because of I'd expect him to be in the ring by now. He'd have to be in the ring. But if they offer him the fight, I think he'd be foolish to not take it, a Terence Crawford fight or an Errol Spence fight, just because this could be the last chance for Keith Thurman to get his name back into the talks of the top welterweights in the division. And why not? Why would you not want that? Stylistically, Terence has the ability to switch. He might be too complicated for Keith to figure out also. So then you could also make the argument, it's much easier to kind of adjust to and fight against the guy like Errol Spence, who is so fundamentally sound that maybe he gets a little predictable, but it can still be very hard to stop a guy that has such a good work rate and is as talented and as smart as Errol Spence. I always say Errol Spence doesn't get enough credit for his IQ, but Keith Thurman is a big puncher, so I think he could hurt anybody that he gets into the ring with. We saw him hurt Mario Barrios. I know he didn't finish him like Tank. Everybody wants to bring that up, but I think he hurt him like just as many times, and had his legs like Bambi. So I like Keith Thurman. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. He's always exciting. The power shots. I think he's really explosive when he wants to be. So as long as he's without injury, I think he takes any of these fights and makes them interesting. But let me know if that's a fight you guys would want to see: Terence Crawford versus Keith Thurman. Hopefully they could figure something out with PBC or whatever network, get these fights going, because we all want to see them. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to. I wanted to bring that boxing for you guys. I'm always trying to come up with potential scenarios that can maybe come to fruition in the future, because I want to see these fights. I know you guys want to as well. But once again, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? It's not that hard. Hit the button, hit the like button, do all of that. And thank you guys for the constant support, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.